So over in Pennsylvania, Trump won and McCormick won. Bob Casey lost, but Democrats are refusing to give up. Casey's refusing to concede. They even tried blocking McCormick from actually going to Senate orientation. And now we have Democrats voting to count illegal ballots, explicitly stating on the record that they were going to violate the law, counting ballots that don't have dates, that were missing dates, because they want the courts to pay attention. And probably the most shocking thing about it was when this woman says, we all know that precedent doesn't matter in this country anymore. At the same time, you've got Democrats talking about forming a shadow cabinet. You've got governors talking about forming a coalition to resist Donald Trump. So when Democrats say they're going to count illegal ballots anyway, and now Bucks County is within a few hundred votes of flipping, mind you, these are illegal ballots. They violate the law. I wonder where we go next. So we've got quite a bit to talk about. And we'll get into the social elements here because there's some viral trends on Reddit of people. I want to keep it very light. But let's just say they're not taking the election results very well. And some are threatening self-harm. Some have alleged that others already have over this. It's getting absolutely crazy. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. But before we do, my friends, head over to preservegold.com and, well, check them out. You know, I said it before, when it comes to physical precious metals, we love Preserve Gold. They sponsor the show. And our friends over at Preserve Gold have an exclusive offer for my viewers right now where you can get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase as well as a free guide. So check them out on X. Preserve Gold has hundreds of 5-star reviews, millions of dollars in trusted transactions with happy clients. So head over to their X or text Tim to 50505 to learn more. And let me just say, while everybody's celebrating, we're still a couple months away from Donald Trump being the president. So don't count your chickens before they hatch. There's a lot that still has to happen from now to then. Take it seriously. I hope you guys are prepared for you hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So again, preservegold.com/TimPool, but also head over to castbrew.com and, I don't know, grab a bag of Stand Your Grounds. You can also grab some Rise with Roberto Jr. And if you use the promo code UNWOKE, all caps, you can get our Unwoke decaf half off. We ordered a bunch because people requested it, but people don't really buy decaf that much, so we're putting on a big sale so that you guys can pick some up at a good price. We also got Appalachian Nights. And don't forget, Timcast.com. Click Join Us. Join the movement. We got tens of thousands of people who are members of the Discord server hanging out, and they're wondering why you weren't there to hang out with them. So if you're trying to figure out how to get involved, make friends, there are meetups, there's pre-shows, after shows, and members-only call-in shows Monday through Thursday. Go to timcast.com and click Join Us. Become a member. You're supporting this show, and you're getting involved. Smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know, and leave us a good review if you're listening on the audio podcast on Apple or wherever you get your podcast. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Maureen Bannon.
Thank you, Tim, for having me on.
Who are you? What do you do?
So I am CEO of War Room. I work with my dad.
Who's that?
Steve Bannon. For anyone that doesn't know, I look almost exactly like him, the prettier version of my father. Let's just say that. Sorry, Dad, if you're watching.
I'm sure he's fine.
But I've been working with my dad for the last 3 years. Actually, on November 12th was my 3-year anniversary working with War Room. But I was in the Army for almost 9 years after going to West Point. I did logistics once I got out for a flooring company, and then COVID hit. And my dad had wanted us to work together for a while, but I always said politics is your thing. My thing was the Army, and then I wanted to go to nursing school. That didn't pan out. I saw what happened during COVID, and the company that I was working for at the time wanted to force the vaccine, and I refused to get it. So they were trying to find any reason to fire me because they couldn't because of a medical exemption. And I sat down with my dad, said, let's work together. We sat down at my grandpa's kitchen table, hashed out us working together. And then 3 years later, here we are.
Well, right on. It's great to have you. Should be a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Jane's here.
That's awesome. I'm a big fan of the War Room. Joe Allen's one of my favorite writers who writes for the War Room.
He's awesome.
He's great. I'm Shane Cashman, and I'm an author and the host of Inverted World Live every Sunday at 6 o'clock.
And
go live.
Did you see that they've admitted that non-human intelligence exists and that it actually killed people?
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that on Sunday.
But
it'll be very interesting.
I want to get this clarification because I saw a report. It said there is technology of non-human intelligence that has crashed and killed people. Is that what they were saying in those hearings?
I mean, basically. And then Anna Polina Luna was asking about the crafts actually being alive themselves. And when she asked that, they said, we have to answer this behind closed doors.
That's so weird.
Yeah. And they also talked about Lockheed Martin doing a lot of weird stuff under the water. So
That'll be fun. We'll talk about all that too. I got that story pulled up. Phil's hanging out.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's go.
Here's a story from the National Review. Bucks County commissioners vote to count illegal ballots as Pennsylvania Senate race heads for a recount. All right, let's start here. Let me pull up the New York Times, and we can see here over in PA, you've got Bucks County, and it is now within only It's Bob Casey is now winning in Bucks. Was that the case before? Did they literally just flip it right now? Holy crap! What's the? Hold on. I got to look at the screenshot that I got for the graphic because I'm pretty sure as we were making the screenshot, they did not flip it. Am I wrong? Hold on. Let me load this stupid thing. Why is it taking forever? Seriously, I can't open a graphic now? This thing's crashing on me. Okay, so anyway, here's what's happening. There are ballots that are not dated. When I took the screenshot before, Bob Casey had taken Bucks County. They're flipping it. I'm sorry, it was Donald Trump. So over in the presidential side in PA, they're trying to flip it from Trump. It's now within only a couple hundred votes, less than 300 from Trump to Kamala Harris. It is 49.5 to 49.5. These ballots are illegal, and don't take my word for it. Let me just play this clip that's gone viral.
We reject all three categories of these ballots.
Your motion is to reject or dismiss the challenges in this category in front of you?
Correct, yep.
Not going to second that, mostly because I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it.
Okay, block her up. She's admitted to willfully subverting the governance. This is Bucks GOP saying Democrat commissioners violate the rule of law and ignore PA Supreme Court ruling. Democrat commissioners Diane Marsaglia and Bob Harvey voted today to count illegal ballots against PA Supreme Court ruling in an attempt to aid former Senator Bob Casey. Thank you to the Republican Commissioner Gene DiGirolamo for making a motion to uphold the law. This is literally what's going on right now. They are admitting to trying to overturn an election result because they want the Democrat to win that Senate seat. I think, I don't know if you guys saw the shadow cabinet proposal from the Democrats. They want to create a shadow government.
Yeah.
They're actually going on CNN saying we're going to create a shadow government. And you have Pritzker and what's the guy's name in Colorado, the governor, talking about creating a coalition called the GSD. Yes. They're forming something called the GSD, which is an alternate function of governance, which will defy Donald Trump. What would you say to someone 6 years ago if you said these things were going to be happening?
Oh, 6 years ago, people would have said you're crazy. The Democrats don't do those kind of things. The Democrats are the good guys.
1 year ago, if I told you that Democrats would publicly state they will illegally count ballots, they don't care, the law, precedent doesn't matter anymore, that they're going to violate the law, that you've got one Democrat calling for a shadow cabinet, a formation of a shadow hierarchy. For every member of Trump's cabinet, they will appoint a Democrat to their version. I got to tell you, I think Rudyard Lynch is right. He said there was going to be a people's capital in D.C. and a patriots capital in Austin. I said, well, he predicted Trump was going to win. So why would the patriots be in Austin? And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm like, right, it's going to be the people's capital in New York. They're going to form a shadow cabinet. They're going to defy the law. I don't know why anyone would expect them to do otherwise.
They don't learn their lesson. They're not listening to the people. They want to
There's no lesson to learn. I know. What lesson is there to learn?
Well, like in terms of just trying not to be so publicly desperate, and bend the law to win.
But there's no lesson to be learned. They have always been adamant about violating the law and screaming in your face. The charges against Donald Trump in New York, for instance, have no underlying crime. They outright said, I don't care. I think the issue is Republicans don't learn. Maybe Donald Trump now is with these cabinet appointments, but it's fascinating that there, Phil, you said it a while ago, there's no off-ramp.
Yeah.
I mean, we just played a clip of a woman saying, precedent does not matter in this country anymore, and I will violate the law.
I think that they also kind of showed this in 2018, 2017, when a lot of Democrats were questioning the election back then when Donald Trump won the first time. I don't know if you guys remember, they said the machines don't work. They're not good. We need to hand count. And then all of a sudden, when Joe Biden won, then all of a sudden the machines are fine. Everything's fine. So I think they kind of gave us a foreshadow of this back in 2017,
Didn't Elizabeth
2018.
Warren actually put out the letter saying Dominion machines were not to be trusted?
That was right after Trump won.
Right.
Donald Trump needs to be the president that the left has been terrified of and has been saying that he's going to be, that he was not, that he honestly, like, I'm not sure that he even has the stomach to be that president, but he needs to be the president that they're terrified of. He needs to execute the law, and I'm not talking about doing anything illegal, but he needs to indict every single person that will vocally say that they're going to fly in the face of the law, not do their duty according to their position. Anyone that says that they're going to, anyone that says anything about creating a shadow government, that's sedition. They need to be investigated, arrested. If you're going to send Steve Bannon to jail, if they're going to send Roger Stone to jail, and I don't even know what Roger Stone's deal was, like, but I know they're kicking in the doors of Americans. If they're going to go and kick in the doors of Mar-a-Lago, I know they didn't kick in the doors, but if they're going to go and search Mar-a-Lago while President Biden has umpteen thousand or whatever classified documents, then President Trump, when he takes office, needs to be the president that they have all been afraid of. He needs to be as militant as the law allows.
Let's take a look at this story. Fox 13 says, what is a shadow cabinet and how would it work in the U.S.?
They would
Rep.
go to
Wiley
jail.
Nickel of North Carolina first shared his thoughts on a shadow cabinet in an op-ed published in the Washington Post. He then gave an interview on CNN. And he now there's now a video of him basically breaking down who they would appoint. Now, of course, you're going to hear from Democrats being like, he's just talking about advocacy. When you've got Governors Pritzker and Paulus leading state level groups aimed at, quote unquote, safeguarding democracy to defy Donald Trump, you've got the formation of a hierarchical structure, a shadow cabinet mirroring Donald Trump's. This is the formation of state coalitions with alternate, or I should say parallel governance. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how many times I have to sit down and be like, hey, this is a really weird thing that's happening. That's unprecedented in American history. And people just go, nah, it's going to stop here. Nothing else is going to happen. Fine. I'll say it right now. This means nothing. Nothing's happening. Go back to Bet America. The government's in control. Trump's got it. Everything's going to be fine. Go watch American Gladiators. Here's 40 channels of it.
The government, like I can only reiterate that what I've already said. The president needs to come down as hard as the law allows.
But that's we are watching Democrats form a parallel government in real time.
That's sedition.
Trump can't do any. It doesn't matter what Trump does. Okay, like Donald Trump's going to come out and say, "Don't do it," and they're going to say, "This proves it," and they're going to keep escalating. There's no off ramp. No, I couldn't have predicted 6 months ago that they would try and look, it's one guy going on CNN. They're entertaining it. Washington Post ran an op-ed saying, what is a shadow cabinet? Why should we make it? You've got Democrat governors saying we will defy Donald Trump. Stop it right now. It doesn't matter. This was back in 2020 when we saw the Democrats do their war game where they said if Trump wins, we will push for the West Coast to secede from the Union. And everybody says it's crazy. You call it whatever you want. But Democrats don't stop. They're not stopping.
If there is going to be some kind of confrontation like we're talking about, it's better that Donald Trump be in command of the United States military than the Democrats. It's better to be on the...
But that's not a consideration. Democrats either are in control on weaponizing government against their political opponents, or we vote for Donald Trump and Democrats continue to escalate like they're doing right now.
At some point, if they continue to escalate, at some point it goes kinetic. And if it does go kinetic, that would be people being seditious against the federal government.
But again, I'm not trying to cut you off. that doesn't change anything. Your words don't mean anything to the actions of individuals who have severed themselves already.
I'm not talking about words. Like I said, that's why I said
No. Listen,
kinetic.
when the Democrats try to imprison Donald Trump using a fake charge they made up and a fake trial, when they seize Alex Jones's assets illegitimately, sedition is a meaningless word. It means nothing. The raw exercise of power is happening right now. So Trump can come out and say sedition or flibbity bop. The word is meaningless. Democrats right now are writing, there's op-eds in the Washington Post saying a shadow cabinet should be formed of political, Adam Schiff would be there, what do they call him, Secretary of State? This is what the guy's saying, he's outlining. And Pritzker and Paulus, is that his name, are outright saying they're forming something called the GSD, the Governors Safeguarding Democracy, which will leverage the collective strength and experience and institutional knowledge of governors across the country to craft laws and policies to protect the rule of law, basically saying that they will defy Donald Trump's actions.
So what I'm not sure if you're understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying go kick in their door and round them up.
What they've been doing to us, you're saying do to them.
And
Within the
my
full
point
extent
is
of the law.
Yeah.
My point is that won't change anything, but it will escalate things. I'm saying there's no off-ramp. So what you're saying is right now, the only thing that can be done is the start of kinetic conflict.
Well, no. Well, I don't think that. First of all, I do think that if you round people that are seditious up, they will be like, oh, they're serious. And then, then it's essentially it boils down to if you have a large portion of people that are intent on defying the federal government, if they're going to, they're going to, and it doesn't matter. What?
That's the point.
Well, yeah, and so then let them fight the federal government with Donald Trump in charge. It's better they decide to fight the federal government with Donald Trump in charge than have the power of the federal government and round up the people that are trying to preserve the things that we consider a Republican form of government.
And so the point I'm making is Trump won. They're already saying outright, we're going to count illegal ballots. We don't care, which calls into question, obviously, 2020. If they're outright admitting right now, we don't care, we're going to count illegal ballots. John Bolton saying there should be an FBI investigation of Tulsi Gabbard and Matt Gaetz, who are accused of no wrongdoing, simply because Trump won. They are backed into the corner at this point, where our best case scenario is they are so desperate in outright exclaiming these things that regular people say, holy crap, these people are going nuts. However, as we've often said, anybody who looks at history knows only a small percent of people are required to ignite serious conflict. So if you go back to 2018 and you were to tell people that something like this would be happening, that Democrats would be openly calling for, it's Bucks County. Again, I'm saying these are the seeds. This is not the waves, not a tsunami. They would openly state, law doesn't matter. We'll violate the law. Do something about it. They'd tell you were crazy. It's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. And now here we are. We are sitting here saying, congratulations to ourselves. We won. Trump got the House, the Senate. He's got the Supreme Court. And the Democrats are now saying, okay, then we'll create parallel governance.
Do you think if they round them up, it escalates beyond that, or will it quell it?
I don't think that it escalates.
From their side, I'm saying.
I don't think that it escalates significantly. I do think that you see more low-level stuff. I do think that you see riots. I do think that you see people protesting,
like the foot soldiers on the streets.
Yeah, I do think that it would be more like the Summer of Love kind of thing. That kind of stuff. I don't see organized militias. I don't see very many governors activating the National Guard of the states trying to fight the feds.
It's hard to imagine on this side of the election. After seeing how people voted widely, And
again, the way that it is set up now, most people voted for Donald Trump still, right? That still does matter. And for the normies, right, they'll be like, why are these people defying the federal government? Mm-hmm. Right. And I don't disagree that I'm still of the opinion I don't see the off ramp. Right. But my point being, if there is going to be kinetic action, if there is going to be someone that decides that they're going to stand up against the federal government, it's better to be on the side of the federal government because the federal government has an immense amount of power.
Let me play this clip. This is Wiley Nickel from North Carolina.
If Trump attempts to weaponize the justice system against his political opponents with Matt Gaetz at the helm, we could see incoming Senator Adam Schiff as our shadow attorney general, arguing against replacing our independent prosecutors with Trump loyalists. As Trump seeks to eliminate the Department of Education, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, a former Teacher of the Year, could step up as shadow education secretary to loudly defend public education in the United States. If Trump orders Marco Rubio to hand Ukraine and much of Eastern Europe to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Congressman Greg Meeks, as Shadow Secretary of State, could be a strong voice in support of maintaining international relationships and protecting democracy at home and abroad.
Now let's just entertain what that means. Direct violation of the Logan Act, which we've never actually seen legitimately prosecuted in this country. He's saying that a Democrat will intervene as a voice for our allies, theirs, if Donald Trump, as the commander-in-chief, instructs the Secretary of State to negotiate the end of a war. I mean, this is crazy stuff.
Senator Michael Bennet as Shadow Treasury Secretary and Congresswoman Susan DelBene as Shadow Commerce Secretary could help ensure the middle class and small businesses have a voice in government and call out Trump's proposed tax cuts for billionaires and corporations. As Shadow Defense Secretary, Congressman Adam Smith, a great representative for the people of Washington and not a Fox News host, could counter Trump's threat to use military force against his political opponents.
How could he counter that? What does that imply?
And work to ensure that the Department of Defense stays loyal to the Constitution and not some wannabe dictator.
He's saying that when Donald Trump gives a lawful order, perhaps he invokes the Insurrection Act, this Democrat would go and lobby against that and say, defy the orders of the sitting president. Yeah, this is happening. I believe this is happening in Congress.
And Senator Tammy Duckworth could argue against cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs that would delay the benefits and care our service members have so rightly earned.
All of these voices are actually him saying Democrats will act against the will of the executive branch and instruct people to defy lawful orders from the president.
They're just doubling down on their delusions.
Well, that and the cabinet members that Donald Trump has selected are going to purge the rot in D.C. And that's what they're so afraid of. The fact that all these people, especially the Department of Defense and Veteran Affairs, at least from my point of view, need to be redone from the inside, from bottom to top.
100%.
And the fact that the two people that he named want to keep it status quo, want to keep it as is, and that's not doing any good to anyone in those two departments or who all the people that are affected by that.
I think we are looking at a very real scenario. I think the probability is 100% that when Donald Trump is in office, you see the reaction to Matt Gaetz, to Tulsi Gabbard. He's going to say to Rubio, get the war done. Rubio's going to negotiate a middle-of-the-road compromise. He's going to say Russia will have access to Crimea. We're stopping this war before it escalates any further. They're going to say that's unacceptable, total annihilation or nothing. And they're going to send people to go and advocate to Europe, to Ukraine, in defiance of the executive branch and our chief diplomat, Donald Trump, again, commander-in-chief.
Yeah, they're accelerationists.
So,
they want to keep it going.
Yeah, but if they try and commit troops too, because I mean, we already have boots on ground over in the Baltics around Ukraine. We've been there since 2014. I was one of the first units that was over there. And if they actually try and go against a lawful order, I mean, he's the commander in chief. You can't put authorized boots on ground. So I don't know how they're, at least with regards to that, how they're going to do anything.
Like, who's going to listen?
Yeah.
The fake command.
Yeah.
I want to jump to this story here. This is from the Financial Times. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another video for all of you just before Thanksgiving. I hope you keep this one saved, bookmark it, copy the URL, share it with friends and family, and have it ready to go because this one matters. Trump broke Democrats' thermostat. The American left was sent spinning in 2016 and has yet to recalibrate. You need only look at these graphs of Democrat swing. If you look at where the Democrats were in 1996, they were only a few points away from the median voter and only a few points away from Republicans. The same was true on the issue of immigration. In 1996, Democrats and the median voter, as well as Republicans, were largely similar on cutting immigration. Net percentage support. You had around 20%, minus 20% support for immigration. And with Republicans, you had about 25. Take a look at what happened in 2008. Democrats veer so far to the left, they leave the median voter and the Republicans behind, jumping from -20 to +40 in 12 years. You can take a look at support for affirmative action. It's much the same. In 2012 is when you see this massive leftward lurch that just Democrats have jumped so far left. Now, what the Democrats have been trying to say about these graphs is that actually it's a perspective framing. If you show left and rightward lurch, but you keep Democrats as a center, it's the right that's veering to the left. Wrong. These are support or opposition for political policies, not whether a party moved necessarily. Democrats radically adopted new policies in an extremely short period of time. Take a look at this. This graph is where it's very interesting. Many of the people who shape Democratic Party politics and policy hold views far to the left of the voting population. Take a look at Republican political elites and influencers, and you can see that they're just about in the right. That's where the bell curve is. The American voters have a little bit on the left and a little bit on the right. I've often described the average person, the moderate and the Republican, as the true left and the right. But look at Democrat political elites and influencers. What is this very strange tale that defies the bell curve that exists in this far left space? This is tainting the rest of the left. And this is exactly what we're talking about. This is where the influencers are. They are driving their party insane. It is a cult. And these are the data points you need to show your friends and family when they claim Trump is far right or I'm far right. Or, I mean, even Steven Crowder's a run-of-the-mill conservative. They say Barry Weiss is far right now. They say Joe Rogan is far right. Take a look at why they're saying it. They've shot so far to the left, they can't tell what's going on.
They went from safe, legal, and rare to we'll keep them comfortable. That's what that blue says to me. And that only happened in a short amount of time.
But you also realize Democrats don't know what that means.
Right. Yeah. It depends on where you're looking, what demographics on social media.
If you go to any Democrat and say, do you know what it means to say we'll keep them comfortable?
Right.
They're going to say, no, what is that?
Right.
If you go to any Republican, they're going to be like, yeah, that was Northam when he said to abort babies that are alive.
It depends on what their media diet is.
And the reason why they're on the left is because their media diet is cult media.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, 2008 is also Obama.
Liberals who get their news from a diverse array of media, that's Joe Rogan. Liberals who get their views from MSNBC will have no idea what this is. That's why Alan Lichtman was so wrong in his prediction on what's going to happen, because he turns on MSNBC and they're like, not a single scandal. Obama had no scandals. So, there you go.
No Fast and Furious.
Yep, nope. Just a tan suit.
No war crimes.
Yep.
Crazy.
Tan suit, nothing else.
I watched CNN so much when we were in Nashville in the hotel room. I couldn't believe it was a window into another dimension.
Condolences.
Yeah, I know. I still have like a hangover from so much CNN, but I was curious, because I don't have a TV and I don't watch it ever. But it was people that exist in another dimension talking about a world I do not recognize at all.
Same with MSNBC.
Oh yeah,
they're in their own reality,
yep. And
they honestly believe that the American people are stupid, honestly, and that the fact that they want to be able to have lower gas prices, be able to afford groceries, not have to worry about potentially being murdered by someone crossing the border, that they think that that's sexist or fascist or racist or anything, that people want those. Or, women that voted for Donald Trump have internalized misogyny. No, you're so out of touch with reality. Women's reproductive rights was not the priority for this election. People want to be able to feed their families, that they don't have to worry about their kids' safety. Mm-hmm. And MSNBC still can't let go of that. To this day, even today, they're still talking about how, we're crazy for thinking that these are actual issues and that what they're talking about, those are the most important issues.
Oh, they were so condescending. They were literally saying uneducated people voted for Trump. And it's a bunch of overeducated talking heads spewing that 24/7 on all those networks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Take a look at this. They say for the first time in at least 80 years, voters associate the Democrats more with socio-cultural issues than with class and economic solidarity. They used to represent the working class, and as of 2012, they now stand up for marginalized groups and healthcare.
I mean, this is a bit lagging, but that's been the goal of the left since probably the 50s. There's this guy, Herbert Marcuse, that wrote, and I talked about this morning. This guy, Herbert Marcuse, that wrote a lot, and he's a philosopher, a leftist philosopher, and he wrote a lot, and he acknowledged that capitalism, he said, capitalism delivers the goods. Capitalism provides a good life for the average working man. And it does, unquestionably. It's raised more people out of poverty than any other economic system in history. So he said, you're not going to be able to find the revolutionary energy with the working class anymore, because the working class was actually getting out of poverty. They were actually achieving a good life. And the part of why they're now going to people that tend to be mentally ill, people that are unhappy, people that have grievances, because people that are happy and content with their lives, that have hope for the future, they don't engage in revolutionary activities. So what you have to do is foment a population to hate the country that they live in. He said that the revolutionary energy was going to be in the ghetto populations, is what he said, and he was talking about people of color. Back then, he was talking about mostly black people, but nowadays it's expanded to anyone that's people, any kind of people of color, whether it be blacks, Hispanics, LGBTQ people. Very frequently are among the people that are, and it's more the TQ people than the LG people nowadays. But the point is, the people that are happy with their lives don't want to tear the system down. They don't want to see a revolution. They don't want to see a change in the way that we, organize our lives. People that believe that the world is going to be on fire in 2 decades, they want to see a change. People that believe that we live in a systemically racist society, they want to see a change. The people that believe that we live in a largely bigoted society, they want to see a change. And that was something that he acknowledged. He said the people that are unhappy, the people that are in the ghetto communities, they're where the future for the left exists. The working class, we've lost them because largely the system in the United States works for anyone that's willing to go to work, anyone that wants to try and put the effort in. For the most part, it's a system that provides for the people. Ben Shapiro says this a lot. He says there's 3 things that you need to not have generational poverty in your family. You need to not have a kid out of wedlock. You need to go to work, and you need to finish school. If you do those 3 things, you're probably not going to be destitute your whole life. And it's fairly simple to do those things.
I'll disagree on the school part, but everything else is good.
Well, I mean,
these days,
the thing about school, it's not. He didn't even say go to college. He just said he said high school, and basically what that means is he's just saying, look, be able to finish what you start. Right. So it's not really about having the high school diploma, though. Some basic education helps a lot.
Well, it's good to be, for sure, plugged in. But what you're saying is like the seeds of victimhood currency promote the nihilism that we saw in Summer of Love. And that's like, basically what you're talking about. With a lot of people buy into that. And a lot of them come out of the Marxist college world that I was a part of for a little while, as a professor, seeing that whole place just get rotting from the inside out.
And they're lied to endlessly. The people that were rioting during the Summer of Love, they genuinely believed that thousands of innocent, unarmed black men were killed every year. And it's like an average of like 13.
I don't know that I believe that. I think that most of the people who are rioting know it's not true. And it's the peaceful marchers who believe it was thousands of black people were killed.
The rioters were taking advantage of it?
Yeah, and that's how it tends to be. So my experience covering all of these various protest movements over the past, 10 years, it was largely like an 8-year period where I was covering most of it. The people who are wearing all black and smashing things will tell you in great detail about what's going on. They use the lies in the media to get bodies that they can use as cover. 15 far-left extremists cannot tear down statues and smash things. Mm-hmm. They need 500 regular people who are confused and stupid and walking around. What they then do is they hide in the middle of the crowds, start fights with cops, and get people radicalized. So one example is they have a color code system for how they do this. They will create zones where they plan on who will get arrested and who will not. And they intentionally want to put as many normies as possible in the arrest line. So they'll call for a protest, peaceful protest. They'll get a handful of people wearing black bloc. When the normies complain and say, we don't want this, they say you have to respect a diversity of tactics. That's what they call it. Diversity of tactics. Not everybody agrees on how to change the world. And you're not a Nazi, are you? Like, you got to let them do that. Hey, they're not you. You do your thing. They'll do theirs. They'll get the normies in the front of the group. Then one of these guys will crouch down and chuck a bottle at a cop. Then the cops will start moving in. They say, this is an unlawful assembly. You're under arrest. The normies, 20-year-old college women and men, have no idea what's going on. Someone will go up to the front of the line and hit a cop. The cops will then start attacking the entire line. They'll arrest. This is the goal of the left. They've explained this in their direct action meetings. They call them direct action. They'll arrest as many people as possible. Then when these normies are terrified, they've never been arrested before, they find themselves in jail. They're brought to the jail in New York where they cram every one of these tiny cells. They're deeply uncomfortable. They're standing for hours. It's super hot. They're super sweaty. And the leftists then say, don't you see what they do to people? You didn't even do anything wrong and they arrested you. Let's hold hands and sing songs. They try to then love bomb you to make you feel good. They say, who knows a good song? And they'll sing some like 90s rock song that everybody knows. Then everyone's singing and feeling good. They'll say, take my number down and call me. We need your help. That's how they radicalize people. They intentionally get them arrested and then use that experience to radicalize them into joining their group.
Crazy. Sounds like those tactics were also used at January 6th. They have, people.
That's a little different.
But there were people, I believe, that showed up to instigate, and then a lot of other people who weren't involved directly.
That for sure.
Arrested.
I'm saying, like, when they brought the J6ers to jail, they just
not that part.
They beat the education into them.
Not that part.
They didn't sing songs. They were like, I hear that the J6ers were forced to like read stories and learn about why they're radicalized or something.
That's insane. Yeah, I'm talking about the agitation part outside.
That's what gulags were. Gulags were re-education camps.
Yeah.
People think that gulags were just work camps. They weren't. The Nazis had death camps. The point of going to those places was to work you to death and for you to die. Mm-hmm. You could go to the gulag, do your 10 years, and if you came out and if you properly could recite the leftist ideology, then you could actually come out and go and integrate back into society. But that's the difference between an authoritarian and a totalitarian regime. A totalitarian regime demands that you think the correct thoughts. An authoritarian regime just wants compliance. If you do what you're supposed to do and keep your mouth shut, you can fly under the radar and you can get away with, being like, not agreeing with whoever's in control. Don't tell anyone about it, but you can get away with it. Yep. But if you're in a totalitarian regime, they want to make sure that you think the right thoughts.
I want to jump to a dark story. So we'll try and keep this one, the language as light as we can. But let's just say the election results are not having a positive effect on Democrats. And so I say, we'll take this seriously. And again, we'll keep it light. Here's @Reddit Lies, which is an account that calls out people on Reddit who are lying. They say Democrat fear-mongering backfired tremendously. And the story is about a person saying that their cousin killed herself due to the election results. They say, this morning, our family received the heartbreaking news that one of my cousins took her own life last night. She had long struggled with mental health issues and was a strong advocate for LGBTQ+ and liberal causes. It was not close to her, but it's a tragedy to live in a time when someone could feel so isolated and hopeless to the point of choosing such a painful path. Her passing is a somber reminder of the toll that polarized times can take on vulnerable hearts. Well, the first thing I'll say is you can't control how people feel about things. This was an individual who had an internal response. That's not society. Everybody's fine. In fact, butter is now $6.50 from $7. So things are getting better. We're hearing police are beginning to enforce the law. But this is a person who took it to the extreme. So I went over to Off My Chest on Reddit. The whole thing is loaded with people who have lost their minds. Here's one saying, nothing matters to me anymore ever since the election. It's just like I don't care anymore because I feel the future won't reflect on anything positive. But there's a ton of these. My friend told me I would lose my aura if I killed myself. Please, nobody do anything like that. And, seek help. There are people who will help you. But this is another person saying, after the election, I felt this way. And they said, don't do that. One person says, I'm utterly destroyed about the election. Something is wrong with the election results. Democrats are losing their minds to an extreme degree.
I think this is what Emil Durkheim wrote about in his book Suicide, where he talks about the idea of anomie, where people that experience the death of their worldview either learn to accept it or they don't accept it, and then this is the result when you don't accept it. It's terrible.
I think this is also an effect of the mental health crisis that we have in this country, and that the left has exacerbated.
The left desires.
And they, you're right, and they don't do anything to fix the mental health crisis. They just continue to allow it to get worse. And
Good.
no, I was just going to say, they allow it to get worse, and this is what we have. We have people that think that the world is so bad that they have to do something permanent for something that's temporary.
Mm-hmm. That's a great way of putting it. Why do you think the MAID program is so popular in Canada?
Happy people, again, happy people don't revolt. Happy people do not engage in revolutionary activities. All of the agitprop, which is what it is, all of the stuff that people hear that's like, this is so terrible, Donald Trump is so bad, it's intended to spark a reaction.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't consider it stochastic terrorism as if they're looking for a specific thing to happen, but they are looking to make people that are a little on the unhappy side more unhappy, because happy people do not engage in revolutionary activities. Right. If you want to change a country from the inside out, you don't go to the people that are happy and have good lives and stuff. You find the people that are unhappy. There's two major groups. It's people that are wealthy and guilty about it. And then there's the people that are marginalized and have mental illness and are miserable for whatever reason it is. And unfortunately, you're going to see people that are on the edge of depression and stuff like that. If you keep hammering down, the world's going to end, this is so bad, blah, 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 you're going to see people commit suicide. Yeah. It is an absolute disgusting thing that we have an entire media industry.
That's what I was just about to say.
That is constantly telling people that Donald Trump is Hitler. And not only is Donald Trump Hitler, even if Donald Trump wasn't Hitler, then the whole world's going to be on fire in 2 decades.
They like
they're telling kids you have no future to grow up to because the world is going to burn.
They like to hijack the demoralized, and then they use the bodies as human shields for their ideologies, and or put them on the streets and do their bidding.
And they'll continue to do it until they're held responsible.
Right.
Yeah. That's 100% true.
Now, here's one of the more extreme off my chests. I just made an appointment to get sterilized, saying that I'm horrified at the outcome of the election with the rise of misogyny and women's rights being stripped away to nothing. The most empowering decision I can make to protect myself. Well, she's 42, so.
This is terrible.
Kids.
Terrible. Yeah. I mean, they're doing it to kids.
Yeah, I'm saying like she's older, so
yeah.
I don't see it as that big a deal, but it's an extreme thing.
I mean, I would love to know what rights she had taken away. When Donald Trump won, what rights as a female did she have taken away?
She's probably in Portland.
She probably can't list them. As a female, I had no rights taken away from Donald Trump being elected.
How dare you say that?
None. So the fact that, she feels, and that whole 4B movement that's going on, I don't want to, date men, marry men, have sex with men, anything like that.
Yeah. Shaving their heads, I think.
Yeah, but that's what we've been trying to get you to do.
Yeah, they're monks now.
Is to not have one night stands and do all of this crazy stuff. That's the whole point of what we as conservatives have been trying to do. But the fact that you feel like you have to get sterilized because you're not able to go out and get an abortion until birth or until 9 months, it's just crazy that this is the reality. And until mainstream media is held accountable for what they're putting in people's heads, because they are responsible for some of these people's deaths.
But the mainstream media is over. And so this is what I've been saying all week. I had this realization. So Sam Cedar likes to make a lot of videos about me, and it's crazy. He just lies. So his line now is that Tim Pool admits he refuses to do any research. And I was like, that's literally never been the subject of conversation. I said that he's criticizing me for having read a news article and commenting on it and then being upset that the news article was incorrect. He turned that into Tim says he refuses to do research. I'm like, whatever, dude. And so I've had people say, well, Tim, why don't you comment on Sam? And I'm like, he's a small channel and he's not really relevant. I mean, I don't care to talk about these liberal pundits and personalities. I think I was absolutely wrong about that. Sam Cedar makes a video about me and gets 200 to 500,000 views. MSNBC can barely crack 60,000. They're getting 60,000. And so we're sitting here being like the corporate press and the mainstream media and not realizing that the actual reality is it's people like Sam Cedar, Kyle Kalinske, and David Pakman who have been largely lying. And what is deeply concerning to me is when the corporate press ceases to exist, what are they going to base anything they're saying off of but each other? There's going to be we've been in the trenches. I think we crossed the threshold a long time ago, but we used to have a news apparatus in this country where news would be reported from an original person. Not anymore. Now, I see Jack Posobiec, and he'll put out a tweet saying a White House source has told me this thing. And I say, well, I know Jack and I trust him. Then the left will comment on something, or they make a lot of videos that are just about themselves and other people. That's what they do. But we're going to be drifting away further and further from the point where there's going to be original source reporting.
Well, that and, growing up, the media, when they reported, it was 90% truth, 10%, makeup or exaggeration. Now it's the opposite. You can't trust, like you were saying, Tim, you can't trust what is coming from mainstream media because you don't know the source or if it's based in reality.
They'll be replaced by AI real soon.
Oh, I think they'll be. I think they'll be replaced.
Yeah, but
honestly, we were talking about this earlier. I think they'll be replaced by, alternative media. So War Room, Tim Pool.
I disagree completely.
You don't think that alternative media is going to take the place of?
Are you saying in terms of viewership, or I'm saying they're going to be replaced?
AI can't do original reporting.
I'm saying it's just going to be AI producing articles.
Oh, I'm not.
And it's going to be fake, made up nonsense.
Yeah.
And we're already starting to see this world. Like I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I went to the front page of YouTube on a browser that was not signed in. Mm-hmm. So, basically what happens is we're sitting here doing the show and all of a sudden I notice we jumped 20K viewers. And I'm like, wow, they must be featuring or something. So then I pull up on a phone that's not logged in with no accounts and look what YouTube will show to someone with nothing. In reality, the first thing it shows you is blank and it says search for things. But if you go to shorts and then go back, it'll auto-populate random stuff. And sure enough, I was like, oh, look at that. We're featured on the front page, Timcast IRL. Like they're not censoring us the way they used to. I noticed a bunch of videos where they've begun to take clips of, there was one, it said like Tim Pool was arguing with Cenk Uygur. And it was obviously clips from a long time ago of me and Cenk edited to look like we were doing some kind of Zoom conversation. And it was totally, they took a video of me saying something like, let's say I'm commenting on Adam Schiff, and Adam Schiff comes out and says, I've got the proof of Russian disinformation. And I respond with, no, you do not. That is wrong. You're making this up. It's not true. You're going to sit here and lie to everybody. They take that clip, put it next to Cenk Uygur saying something like, Donald Trump clearly did this. Then I respond, and they got 50K views or whatever. And then people aren't realizing that that's not a real conversation between me and Cenk, but it makes a ton of traffic. So I saw a bunch of these. There was one where it was like David Pakman was arguing with somebody. I'm like, yeah, that's not a real argument. Those are clips randomly selected, and people are making channels where they're like, can you believe what was said here? That's where we're at now.
That's a whole other dimension.
When AI articles start popping up that fabricate stuff, and they do. Dude, there's when Donald Trump was nearly assassinated, one of the things that went viral is he'd go on ChatGPT and say, like a week later, what happened to Donald Trump at the Butler rally? It would go, nothing happened. And you'd say, no, here's a link. Someone almost killed Donald Trump. It would respond, that's actually not true. No one has ever tried to kill Donald Trump. It just made stuff up. When AI starts writing articles, and it already does, definitely. I think it was like, I can't remember which, I think ESPN or maybe not ESPN.
Someone got in trouble for it.
Yeah, some sporting thing got in trouble for having a fake guy writing AI articles.
Yeah.
It's going to be fabricated information. Mm-hmm. People are going to then comment on that information. It's going to inform voters. There will be no original reporting. And then what?
It's a whole other Mandela effect opening up because people are going to believe those things. Like you're saying, people are making videos based off fake videos. People are going to watch those videos.
Here's one thing I caught today. I'm just going to say it because I don't care. I'm a crazy person. But we're navigating we're exploring a lawsuit against Wikipedia. So anybody who watches me consistently knows I've never advocated for ivermectin. I rejected ivermectin to Joe Rogan's face, told him I don't think it works. I said to Joe Rogan on the show, I think what ends up happening is in these countries where they take ivermectin is that it cures them of worms, which alleviates their immune system. And then when they're able to beat COVID, they think the ivermectin is what did it, when all it really did was deal with their parasites. Joe argued and said, no, it's a protease inhibitor, and that has a negative impact on ivermectin. I said, well, whatever, agree to disagree, fine, whatever. When I got COVID, we got a series of treatment prescriptions. Monoclonal antibodies was the principal one, and that's what I got, and that's what cured me. I don't know if cure is the right word, but we had a nurse do IV fluids, and I got monoclonal antibodies, and the next day, within 8 hours, I was better. 4 days later, the doctor called and said, I'm prescribing you ivermectin, and I said, I don't want it. I feel fine. And she said, well, I want you to take it anyway. And I said, but if I don't need it, why am I going to get it? And she said, look, I'm prescribing you as your doctor. I want you to take this. If you don't take it and you end up getting sick, don't complain to me. I'm telling you what I want you to do. And if you don't want to do it, fine. And I said, okay, fine, whatever. Gizmodo wrote a fake article saying Tim Pool was an advocate for ivermectin who sought it out. Totally fabricated. They then put it in my Wikipedia and claimed Newsweek is unreliable and Gizmodo is reliable. I'm not going to, it's insane. It's just absolutely fabricated across the board. They claim that we're in the post-truth reality, these Democrats, these liberals, when they're the ones who principally do it. You can pull up my videos where I'm like, I didn't want it. I told them I didn't want it. I argued with her, but I said, okay, fine. My doctor prescribed it. I'll just do what my doctor says. So I talked to my lawyer today and said, we're going to sue Wikipedia. The argument is Wikipedia articles have a byline that says from Wikipedia. It doesn't say from, Cruiser Dude 43, some random user. It says from Wikipedia. So if Wikipedia, from Wikipedia, wants to make an assertion, a statement of fact that I sought ivermectin when I've spoken out against it over and over again, then we're going to sue them.
Great.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never liked Wikipedia. I enjoy it for what it is, but when we were teaching journalism in college, all the handbooks across many colleges were like, you can never have your students use it as a source because it's bogus and anyone can go in and change anything. It's great as a diving board to look at the bottom, see where they're sourcing their information, but that thing is a cesspool. Let's
do this. We got this story from Variety. Matt Walsh is a hypocrite for submitting Am I Racist to the Oscars. Why are right-wingers seeking liberal validation? That's a fascinating concept, right? That Variety is outright saying the Oscars are liberal and conservatives are not welcome here. They say, in a twist as predictable as a Hollywood sequel, conservative media and alt-right commentators have made it their mission to ridicule the entertainment industry's award circuit. It's an annual ritual from the Oscars to the Emmys to the Grammys. Commentators use YouTube, podcasts, and op-eds to denounce Hollywood as a cesspool of liberalism and a bubble of elite self-congratulation. Yet here's the irony. Many of these same voices openly deride the industry, quickly seek its validation when they enter its arena. Case in point, conservative media company Daily Wire recently submitted the satirical comedy Am I Racist featuring Matt Walsh, an anti-transgender commentator, that's funny, for Oscar consideration. Oh my God, can you imagine Emilia Perez, star of Carla Sofia Gascon, being forced to share the same air as him? Okay. While some of our observers see this as a troll, Walsh insists otherwise. He said, yes, we submitted our film for the Academy Award consideration. No, it's not remotely a troll. We have the highest grossing documentary of the decade. Of course, it should be considered for awards. They go on to basically say, isn't that hypocrisy? Don't they criticize Hollywood? I think the thing, what did Jeremy Boring say when they were launching all these programs? If tomorrow night Disney course corrected and stopped making woke stuff, it would be a relief. We wouldn't have to do it ourselves. It's only because they've become far left and woke that we are trying to have influence in the industry. Matt Walsh submitting it for the Oscars is quite literally trying to pull their heads out of their own asses. Of course, they admit it. That chart we showed earlier about going to the far left, it's exactly it. And they'll outright say it.
I think it's great, though. I don't agree with the institutions, but I like seeing them infiltrate them and try to destroy it from the inside. Maybe not destroy it, but this will amplify it to people who might not be plugged in.
It's a troll, even if it's not a troll.
Yeah, for sure.
They're legit. He legitimately wants an award, but this just proved the point. They're not going to do it. So we've I've had people that I know who work in the industry say, shouldn't Timcast get a bunch of awards? I mean, you're the biggest primetime show on YouTube. I mean, there are channels that get bigger than us when they do special broadcasts, but consistently every night we have the number one, show. We are typically the number one news show on YouTube consistently. And for the day, I think we usually only get beaten by Pat McAfee, and that's sports. So shouldn't we get an award? Yeah, well, I'm never going to go to these companies and be like, please consider me for an award. But when people I know, because I used to work at Vice and Fusion, I have friends still, when they reached out to these companies and said, what do you think about this? They said, like, never. Don't waste our time. We don't care how big it is. We don't care how successful it is. We don't care what he thinks. He voted for Trump.
I think the real reward or award is that people actually watch it. The people care. People tune into this. They're watching Walsh. That's the award.
Like, All That Remains is never going to get any kind of Grammy or anything like that. I mean, there's no question about it.
Maybe watch.
I'm quite confident that there will be no industry kudos to my band considering me and
cut to the Grammys this year.
But I, to be honest with you, I don't really care considering we get platinum records, right? Like we have gold and platinum records, which are verification by our fan base that they like what we do. I don't have a use for a Grammy, but gold and platinum records are like when your fan base is saying, hey, we really like what you do. The people that listen to your music continue to support you. They keep listening to your stuff. That's what really matters. So, I mean, I understand that, I know like Tom Morello's on the Grammy council, right? And I'm constantly...
He's so great.
I'm constantly giving, crapping on Tom Morello for his communist views and stuff. So, I mean, I know. But at the same time, those kind of awards, they don't matter when you consider the fact that like the point of you doing this is to please your audience. Like you have something to say, you find an audience and they care about it. The other stuff is just like people in the industry saying, it's a pat on the back from the industry. And
accolades from spineless elites.
Yeah, it's like, who cares?
Well, and I think that not now, but the Oscars used to be watched by moderates.
Yeah.
And some like Am I a Racist would get more eyes. People would be like, I want to watch that movie. I wonder what it's about.
Different.
Yeah. Let me go watch that. Now, most people that watch the Oscars are very far left, as we saw in that graph. It's those political elites, the Democrat elites and the influencers. But the more you push those establishments, the more views people you wake up to what is going on.
Yep.
It needs to happen.
And case in point, why President Trump had a sweeping victory is because so many people woke up to the like radical views that have infiltrated the Democratic Party, and they've gone so far left, and that's why we saw so much red.
And Trump's win is the antithesis to all these institutions that are dying, right? Because it's like the outsider presidency. And all these people are outsiders, and the people on the inside are now denouncing all these outsiders.
Another case in point is all the cabinet picks.
Right. They're not experienced enough.
Like Rachel Maddow the other night saying that Tulsi Gabbard couldn't even get a security clearance to be a Walmart greeter. Hate to break it to you, Rachel. Tulsi has, I believe, a top secret clearance from when she was in the military.
Yeah, I mean,
She's still in the military.
Yeah, she's still a lieutenant colonel.
In the reserves.
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like,
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, yes, she still is in the military, but she's had a top secret clearance from back in the beginning part of her military career. Rachel, what have you done with your life? You haven't done really anything. And the fact that the left is in meltdown over Tulsi, over RFK, over Gates,
Exef, yep.
Yeah. They are the outsiders that are coming to get rid of the rot that is in DC, and that freaks them out.
So exciting.
Yes.
I wish Andrew Breitbart was here.
Me too.
To see all this.
Me too.
Because he's like, she sparks so much of this very thing. And I would love to see.
I heard he used to be a liberal.
Yeah, he started HuffPost.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
He
was it
started
HuffPost?
Yeah, before he did Breitbart.
And I know some people that worked with him at the beginning, And I remember having a conversation with this woman, and she was just like, I don't know what happened to that man. He was very liberal, and then all of a sudden he just started changing. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. Maybe it's that he started doing research as he was launching a media company, and every time he would, it'd be like, they're lying about this.
Yeah. Yep. The lying radicalized him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible that finding out that the media lies radicalizes people. And I forget who. I think I said this the other night, but Chamath from the All In podcast. He's one of the hosts, and he used to believe all of the stuff that the media said, and then I don't remember why he went and he looked, but he went and watched the Very Fine People, the actual statement. He watched the Very Fine People hoax, and when he saw that Donald Trump said, not the neo-Nazis, not the white nationalists, not the white supremacists, they should be condemned completely. When he saw that, he was like, what else are they lying about? And that, once you break through, once you see something that's that dramatically dishonest, I mean, you have to question everything.
Yeah.
It punctures a hole in the worldview.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, it opens it up. Because I did share that video with people, and they still believed he didn't say it.
Yeah,
they saw the video.
There are people that I know that are like, well, like a friend of mine, he's like, well, I know that, he said that, but still he was blah, blah, blah. And it's like, he specifically disavowed those people. And the media continues to lie about this.
Yeah.
Even the former President Barack Obama continues to lie. And you just say, well, yeah, but I don't like him. And I believe it.
I had to pull the transcript from that whole speech to send to people because they still believed, oh, you guys are just editing the video. So you're trying to be deceptive.
Imagine what it must be like for someone who's actually witnessed aliens landing, and that you can't tell anybody because if you do, no one would believe you.
I mean, I've got a lot of questions on whether they were really aliens or not, but I'll listen to you. You can call in on Inverted World Live every Sunday at 6:00.
Good.
There's some guy out there, and he's like, I just wish I could tell you the truth. I've seen him. Yeah, but some people just want to be lied to. It's easier, isn't it?
Yeah. Comforting for people who need to believe in that world.
Their emotional state is that they don't like Trump, they don't like conservatives. They're that's their intuition, and so they don't want to believe anything that conflicts with that.
It's a buffet of confirmation bias.
Yeah. So
let's jump to this story from the Daily Mail. Police collect wreckage of octagonal-shaped UFO shot down by U.S. F-16 fighter jet. Newly released documents have revealed that Canadian police collected debris of a UFO that was shot down over Lake Huron last year. The object was taken down in February 12, 2023 by a U.S. F-16, marking the third such incident over North America that month. Jeez. Witnesses described the object as octagonal with strings hanging off it so what is it, a balloon? You know what I mean? Like, there was some weird balloon.
Interdimensional strings?
But this is another story that's coming out, and look at that one. The Chinese weather balloon, surveillance balloon, sorry. There's another story that's coming out right around the time we had these UFO hearings that kind of got glossed over. And now I'm wondering what they're hiding about the UFOs. Because normally when a UFO story comes out, like Hunter Biden shot a dog or something, and they're like, quick, aliens. This time the alien story happened, the hearings happened, and no one talked about it.
No one really cares. I posted about it as it was happening. Everyone was like, wait, there's one happening right now. But it's been this way. I mean, I keep thinking of the New York Times in 2015, I think it was. They literally had an article that said, we have vehicles in space, not of Earth origin. No one cared.
I feel like
no one cared.
Look at this story from the New York Post. Congressional UFO hearing details alleged secret government programs, descriptions of non-alien craft.
Yeah, they said they had biologics in possession.
NHI is the term. Let me see if we can pull this up here. Here you go. Yeah, right there. A long-awaited hearing that promised to pull back the curtain has heard witnesses about alleged secret crash retrieval programs, communication with non-human intelligence. So apparently in this hearing, they said, there were vehicles that we believe were created by non-human intelligence. They crashed and they killed people.
They had a hard time defining what life is. Like when I think it was I think it was Luna asked about the crafts being alive or not. Elizondo, however you say his name, said he couldn't define what life means anymore. because of whatever he's seen. So they couldn't define life. They couldn't define when they say what something is alive. You couldn't really define what that is because they're saying there's different definitions of life now, depending
That's
on
a political
whether it's
statement.
conscious or not. Yeah, I found that kind of shady.
Robots are not alive.
I agree.
My washing machine is not alive. It talks.
No,
It
but-
sings songs.
Agreed.
There is an argument to be made because there are certain characteristics that all living things have, but viruses don't have them.
That's what they were
They
going
don't have all of them,
Right.
and so viruses technically, like there is a gray area about whether a virus counts as alive or not because it doesn't meet all of the qualifications.
You're talking about
for a
consciousness.
living thing. I don't think consciousness is necessary because like tardigrades and
Trees.
like there's a lot of stuff that are definitely not conscious. But when it comes to the scientific definition for alive, there are anomalies and actually considering how many different kinds of viruses there are, they're actually not anomalies. They're as numerous as actual living things.
What's crazy about this is that the program is called Immaculate Constellation. And apparently it's one of many programs in the U.S. government that officials are allowed to lie about under oath. So you're testifying before Congress and they'll say, is non-human intelligence a thing? You go, no. And it specifically outlines in these operations because a no comment could be implied to be a potential yes. Mm-hmm. It gives information. So the subjects in question are instructed to lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wild. I'm of two minds because I think there are things that travel here, perhaps through dimensions. I also think aliens are demons, but I also think a lot of the stuff we get is stuff that Lockheed Martin's building. There's no oversight to the money. We're given places like Lockheed and Raytheon, and a lot of these sightings that they're talking about, these hearings, happen at military bases. So then their argument's like, well, they're coming to observe the military bases. I'm like, I think it's Lockheed doing joyrides over your military bases to see how you can, detect them. But that's me. I think it's Lockheed Martian. That's what I'm calling it now.
Lockheed Martian?
That's my new thing. Yeah, Lockheed Martian.
I don't know. I kind of feel like, why wouldn't there be aliens? And so the issue then becomes, people say, the Fermi paradox. If aliens exist, why don't we know about them? And it's like, maybe we as humans do, but you don't.
Right. Maybe
That's
we can't
simple.
even perceive them. Whatever it is, if there's another thing that's not human traveling here, we just can't perceive.
Well, I mean, there's the simple thing like your dog doesn't know what a highway is.
Right.
And I watched this video about aliens. They said a human and an ant are so far away from each other in terms of what their being and bodies are. Humans can create highways, understand, see what it is, and know. An ant cannot fathom in any way that there's a highway there. Now you look at a dog. Dogs and humans are much, much more closely related than ants and humans, and the dog still doesn't know what a highway is. The dog understands there's something there, and there's something going on, and it might be dangerous, but they don't really get what it is. Then we look up at the stars, and we see phenomenon that we try to explain. Imagine a dog-level intelligence trying to explain a highway. There's a lot of cars. We yell at them. Right. They're big and they're scary. Right. And so then we look up at the stars and we're like, look at all those rocks spinning around. Yeah, if you went through that, you'd get hit. Meanwhile, aliens could be so far advanced from us that they're like, oh, that's a galactic neuroconnective path using these minerals and these, and we'd be like,
right.
Huh?
They're just folding space-time and punching a hole through it and just arriving here. And that's, the crash landing thing is weird to me, if that's a thing. I think that is us. But I'm not saying there isn't things like
humans from the future.
I think one possibility is breakaway civilizations from back in the day who are very advanced.
Dude, I read something that said the discovery of aliens would be nowhere near as shocking to humans as the discovery of humans.
100%.
If humans discover that there were other humans on other planets, it would be substantially more terrifying and shocking.
How do you think we got Elon? Descendant of a breakaway civilization. That's just my theory.
That's why he talks like that.
That's why he talks like that.
That weird accent.
That's why he has all these great ideas.
Moon accent.
He's from the moon. Yeah.
Have you seen that movie Moonfall?
No.
Have you seen it? Mm-mm. It's where the moon is falling to Earth, and then we got to make it not fall to Earth, I guess. And so they go to the moon, and it turns out the moon is a terraforming space station that's just been covered in dirt over tens of thousands of years or whatever. And the idea was that a civilization created a bunch of created an AI that then started to wipe out that civilization. So they fled, and started mass producing these spherical space stations that could terraform and create planets. The AI came and then destroyed them all, but one escaped and got away from it. And then it created the Earth. And when the humans from that went down to Earth, got stuck, and they couldn't get back to the station. And so those very few humans created the entire population of the planet, completely forgetting that the moon was a space station. Then they go there, and it's like ancient technology and spaceships and all this crazy stuff that humans had made.
So it's a documentary.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, Elon is looking to make a breakaway civilization by going to Mars. Like they're to avoid cataclysm on Earth to go to Mars. So
he's
very possible.
I think what did he say? He needs like 26 starships or something.
I'm not sure the number.
Because Mars has a very thin atmosphere and weak gravity, and you're not going to be growing stuff directly on the surface.
Right.
So you have to create internal self-sustaining structures, which is ridiculously difficult to do.
Well, yeah.
Basically, terrariums for humans.
Yep.
That's going to be wild.
I think we're going to see it.
Yeah.
If for those who believe in space, that is.
You don't think that they'll just hit the firmament and explode?
For those that believe in space.
That's not so crazy.
Next week, we're doing a flat Earth debate, I guess. Alex is
Are you
gonna be
really?
here. Hey, I offered to send Alex Stein to Antarctica, and I don't know what he's dragging his feet about.
He needs to go.
I know. Right now is when it's warm.
Right? Yeah.
Perfect,
there was
time,
like-
perfect time to go.
I mean, the Nazis are there, so I understand why.
Yeah, but they're underground.
They're underground. Just
They're
like
in
they
the
are-
hollow Earth.
Just like they're in the moon.
So apparently there's like some expedition they're doing. It's like 30 grand. And I asked the audience, I said, do you guys think we should spend the money on this? You know, it's your memberships. You make this, you know, I don't want to be like, people are going to be mad, say you could spend $30,000 on a billboard calling out rhinos and, you know, protecting gun rights. Why are you sending Alex Stein? And everyone said, yes, send Alex Stein to Antarctica.
Alex, what are you doing?
And he doesn't want
He's
to
at the
go.
Tyson fight right now when he should be in Antarctica.
Is he at the Tyson fight?
I think so, yeah. I think it's
Oh,
all-
man, I'm so excited to watch a Tyson fight. I'm glad it's at 11 because I was like, oh, it's starting at 8. We're going to miss it. Yeah, but it's wild. I mean, considering how crazy things have gotten right now, the meme in like 2018 was that aliens were going to land in 2019 or 2020 because of how just how weird everything got. It's weirder now than it's ever been. Everything's much more
Way
weird.
Yeah.
I always like to say this too when talking about aliens is Annie Jacobson wrote this crazy book where she interviewed a guy from Area 51, some high up guy. And he said back in the 50s or 60s, I think it was the 60s, our government was taking like severely autistic children and mutating them to look like extraterrestrials to scare the Soviets.
What?
Yeah. So that is also another possibility of things that they might just put in their Lockheed Martin spaceships and flying around.
I think there's
Lockheed Martian.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think about it like this, you know, anybody who's got a farm, the cows don't know you. Like they know you, but you're walking around, they have no idea what's going on.
Right.
And so when we do like wildlife observation, we hide. We'll put a camera in a hidden area, or when we're deer hunting, give a deer blind, and then you just watch the animals do their thing. If aliens were coming to Earth, I'd imagine that's what they do. Their technology is beyond our comprehension, if it does exist. I'm saying it does. They're going to travel in ways we can't comprehend. They're going to do things we don't get. And if they're observing us, they don't want to be seen.
Except for Adam Schiff.
Especially considering that we're an intelligent species to a certain degree. You know, like if a gorilla sees you, the gorilla doesn't know what's going on. Humans can detect patterns much, much better and react in a way that could be bad. Like if aliens actually came to Earth, if I go up to a bunch of chickens, right? Let's say there's a bunch of chickens just outside somewhere, and I run up and go, blah, 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 they'll run away. 10 minutes later, they'll walk back and do what they were doing without question, and none of their behaviors will change. If aliens come to Earth and just come in a ship, float above New York City and go, blah, 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 10 years later, there's going to be gigantic artillery batteries all over the planet and a coalition to fight aliens.
Yeah.
Because human pattern recognition is much, much different.
Yeah.
So aliens then are not going to come out and yell. You ever see that video of the guy yelling at the turkeys that went viral? He went, blah, 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 and then all the turkeys gobble back. Yeah, the aliens aren't going to be doing that.
The thing that's weird, I think it's Immaculate Constellation, where the pilots were saying, I could be wrong about which one it was, but they were orbs were locking onto the jets, and no matter how they moved,
it would stay.
That part is crazy.
So like what they're saying is, here's the plane, and the orb would go to the side of the plane, and when they turned, the orb would stay locked in
Straight up.
position. Like if they did a barrel roll, it would lock perfectly and just be like almost attached to it.
Yeah, that part's wild. I think they're making this stuff. You know, we had Ashton Forbes on talk about the whole Malaysian flight thing. You know, the video I have my questions with. However, I do think we try to build things like wormholes and portals. And what do you think the Large Hadron Collider is? So these
Large
orbs.
Hadron Collider.
Yeah, I think that's a portal to another.
I think the
dimension.
Large Hadron
hell?
Collider is probably just a Large Hadron Collider, but I think they're not telling us what it's doing. So, there's all that weird ritual stuff, those videos they post where people are in cloaks and everything. And I'm like, well, I don't know about what that stuff is. But do you think they're going to spend, how much that thing costs? Billions of dollars. Yeah. And they're going to come out and just be like, everyone in the world gets to know exactly what we're working on. Yeah,
no.
right.
Oh, no. No.
Because if they're making antimatter and they make weapons, they're not going to tell you.
I had a lady on the show last week who lives in Geneva and was like, these people are bringing entities through portals beneath Geneva. And she was talking about something I never thought of, that the LHC, the CERN, is actually causing a spike in cancer.
What?
That's what scientists there are thinking. It could be related to particle smashing. It's not the only one around the world. I think they're putting one beneath South Dakota right now.
Well, we got the one in Illinois,
Fermilab.
Fermilab. Yeah, that's not very big.
Got a
They're
giant
going to make
Tyson.
a bigger one in Europe, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. They just can't stop. I think they need to. I'm calling on Trump. I wish Project 2025 had something for CERN.
I think Large
maybe it was
Hadron
Clinton
Collider
said that
made
recently.
Trump president, remember?
Well, yeah.
They fired it up in October of 2016 or whatever, and then it altered the shape of reality. The fruit of the cornucopia and the Fruit of the Loom thing disappeared.
Yeah, that
Trump
was
became president.
The Mandela effect in the beginning, but it also did it for Obama's. I think it started in 2008. So it does good and bad. Mostly bad.
Man, what if time doesn't exist, so the past changes all the time, and what we think is true is different tomorrow? We'll never know because the past changed.
That's fun. That's fun.
Like
That's
the Fruit of the Loom thing, man.
Right. There's so many things.
Berenstain Bears.
Yep. That's a good one. Yeah, I think it's doing something to reality, all this particle smashing. But what I'm saying, though, is all these scientists are working on, literally at CERN, they want to remake the Big Bang. So if you're willing to believe that scientists are willing to smash particles together at nearly the speed of light, the whole idea of the orbs isn't beyond the realm of possibilities for our government or other governments to create those.
Well, they make mini black holes, don't they?
Yep.
That was the argument. There was a lawsuit trying to shut CERN down in 2008 that they thought the black hole would open up and open the sphere of strangeness. They lost that lawsuit clearly. Everyone agreed microscopic black holes opened up, though.
Yeah. So initially, they said, well, yeah, we are going to create microscopic black holes, but they evaporate. The particles dissipate, and then it can't maintain its structure. And everyone was like, but what if that doesn't happen? You've never done it before, and then the Earth is just destroyed. And they're like, nah.
You turned around and did the switch.
And then they did it right away.
Yeah, screw it.
And then they made some mini black holes and went, no, it was fine. They can't sustain themselves this small of mass. So, you're good.
Reality's been shredding since they turned that thing on, and it's been accelerating ever since. Last time they turned it on, or maybe the second to last time they turned it on, is when the Guidestones blew up. And
someone blew those up.
Well, I think CERN might have activated the violence, and Shinzo Abe also died that week. I can connect it to any event in human history, but I believe it's the spark for all of it.
I think they're probably just making antimatter weapons or something.
Yeah. I think there'll be a future where suicide vests will be wormholes.
Just one?
No, antimatter is easier. So like a wormhole completes a process.
Yep.
So when you're thinking about these kinds of singularities or an Einstein-Rosen bridge, whatever you want to call it, those have a complete end. But if you stop halfway, it just blows up.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're looking for a vest or some kind of destructive force, they're not going to go the full way. Why make a wormhole?
True.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The thing to understand about wormholes too, people don't get this, is the Earth is moving. Like it's moving around the sun, but it's also moving in a direction with the solar system. So if you were to travel through time and you'd go back in time a year, you'd be in outer space.
Yeah.
You would just be floating like, where am I? And then
you have to, if you go back in time, exactly a year.
No, because the solar system is moving itself.
It'd have to be
through the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
In a super cluster of galaxies.
250, yeah.
I should also take this time in honor of Peanut to shout out the creatures that have shut down particle accelerators before. A weasel shut down CERN by gnawing through its cables. That was pretty cool. And raccoons had a coordinated attack on Fermilab back in 2006.
Traveling to the past is not possible, they say, but traveling to the future is.
Right.
We don't need rockets to go to Mars. All we need is future time travel and then calculating the exact position of Mars, where you need to be relative to where you are now to move forward in the future, to where that would place you on the surface of Mars. Maybe that's how aliens travel.
That's what Barron Trump is in college for right now. He's gonna get us there.
Maybe faster than light travel is just you go fast around a certain body to a point where future time travel is possible. And then if you jump 10 years, Earth has moved and Mars is here and now you're on Mars.
I think that could be a product of what they're doing at particle accelerators.
For the rest of us, we're just moving through linear time.
Right.
They've already jumped 100 years in the future. We'll never see them. We'll never experience it. Doesn't matter.
Right.
They're gone.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. A future where everyone has their own personal particle smasher.
A little tiny one.
I think it's possible in the future. If we already got Elon's got babysitters that are robots.
What's the particle smasher for?
Oh, it's weaponized against the people or time travel. Who knows? You can customize it. You can customize it for whatever you want. You could find the Higgs boson if you believe in that, or you can travel to Mars. I don't know.
If you believe in that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I haven't been there. I'm not sure. I've seen CGI pictures.
Well, I mean, of Mars, fine, but have you seen CGI pictures of the Higgs boson?
Nope.
No.
It's all Photoshop crap. They said they found it.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
The God particle.
And that was the reason they said they built the whole thing. So what are they doing?
It's fun now.
Yeah. Just vacation to the particle smasher.
What if they're just, shaping reality and seeing what for? What wouldn't you do it?
No.
You were bored?
Aren't they trying to? They're studying like they're doing experiments that are intended to help them study the Big Bang, or at least understand the Big Bang, right?
Yeah, they want to find the secrets to life.
Well, that's more than just secrets to life.
They want to see what the Higgs boson particle is, the thing that holds reality together.
Is it?
That's what they say. They probably have a much more highfalutin way of putting it than me, though. The one guy from CERN said he was trying to interact with other dimensions. And you can look on their website, and they've got all types of weird projects they're up to.
But I think people, there's a couple ways to understand it. People think other dimensions, it's used interchangeably with parallel universes.
I was just going to say that.
So interacting with other dimensions just means, there was a great video I watched where it was, look at a power line. From far away, what do you see? You see a straight line. It's one-dimensional. But when you zoom in on it, it becomes this three-dimensional cylindrical platform of which there's going to be things all around it. And now you can see there's three dimensions there, not one. And so they speculate that when you get very, very, very small, there could be additional dimensions that we can't perceive. So at the atomic level or the subatomic level, there could be other dimensions. And that's another thing that they've been researching with these colliders.
Yep.
That's all it means. There's nothing. But a lot of people hear that and they think colloquially another dimension means a parallel universe.
Yep.
Right.
Which is, of course, 4 other dimensions.
Right.
Not one.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also, I guess they're mathematically they can prove other dimensions as well. Like I know that there's a geometric shape called a tesseract, which you can't actually see properly, but
you can't perceive it because it's 4 dimensions.
Yeah, but it's more dimensions than there are. So it'd be 4, and then there would be a 5th dimension with time.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, there's a couple ways to look at it. Time can be perceived as a 4th spatial dimension. Mm-hmm. That would be so. I describe it like this: imagine you're in a car and you're driving, and you're going one way down a road. You're moving through one spatial dimension we can perceive. Within the car, you can move left, right. You can sit up, sit down, but you're going forward in that car. You can't stop it. Another way to explain time would be if you were falling in a hole. Gravity is pulling you downward. You cannot stop that from happening. You can go back, forward, left, and right. You have control of 2 dimensions, but that 3rd dimension is just forever. So we're falling through the 4th dimension right now, uncontrollably, and can't turn it around.
Yeah. Nope.
The other thing to understand about time, why you can't go back in time, is that your perception of life and reality and your knowledge is a component of falling through time. So if you ever reversed it, you would just eliminate the structures of your mind unless you isolated yourself from time and looped that time back in on itself, which I don't know if it's possible.
Maybe 50 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they say future time travel is possible. Yeah. Not literally.
Yeah.
They say because of special relativity and things like that.
Right. I mean, Hawkins was pretty flawed guy. But if you believe that what he said about traveling around the lip of a black hole, it would be you experience time normally, but everyone else back at home is experiencing it faster. So when you return, you've stayed the same, but everyone else has aged.
I think the meme is that it's not even been 1 hour on that interstellar planet since it was released or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
They had that.
Why did they even go to that planet? That made no sense.
I haven't seen it in a while.
Well, they were trying to see if it would support human life.
But they, like, as soon as they landed, you look around and you go, nah. Like
couldn't
standing
get
in a foot of water and you're like, nah.
I think they couldn't get off it because they didn't realize that there was those massive waves coming.
Well, that held them back, but they were like, no, we have to do the tests. And it's like, dude, as soon as you realize that the time dilation was like 7 years for every hour or whatever, you just can't go there. I mean, although what I would do is if I was humans, if I was planning a human civilization, I would intentionally send a massive like battalion or whatever with unlimited, like more equipment than they could possibly dream of, more food, water, regardless of those giant waves. I'd say, we're going to build a base that can withstand the giant waves. You're going to live there. Because as soon as you drop them off, in the flash of just within a couple hours, super advanced humans come out and they're like, well, you have incubated technology.
I mean, it's true.
Right. There you go. It's like when Lisa had the little, the tooth and it got moldy. And then she electrocuted it and then the little people, was that based on something?
I don't know. I'm not that well versed in The Simpsons to know the episodes that well.
Yeah, it was a treehouse of horrors. And then they became super advanced and she watched them, and then they shrunk her.
Well, knowing Simpsons, it probably just hasn't happened yet.
It will eventually.
Yeah, but people said they also predicted Kamala Harris because Lisa was wearing the same outfit. And I think that's just Kamala Harris dressing like Lisa Simpson.
Yeah.
Which should be ridiculed. Yeah. So then the question becomes, why did they have these hearings? What were they covering up? Or were they covering up the hearings?
Could be preparing us.
When it comes to stuff like this, I mean, I said the other night, until I can see something more than just like people telling people things, talking about stuff, like unless I see some kind of evidence, I'm just kind of like meh. That's I feel like that's good. Speaking to your comment earlier, most Americans are just like, well, show me.
This guy outright said that the humans have communicated in some way with aliens.
See, yeah, I get that. But this guy also, like 2 weeks ago, was at a private UFO hearing thing and shared a picture of what he said was a mothership. And a day later, he was like, I'm sorry, that was fake. I don't know.
So who is he then?
I think he's one of these whistleblowers that has to get, clearance to blow the whistle from the government.
You know what I think it is? Who was that guy in the 90s? And he has the biggest Joe Rogan episode, I think.
I always forget his name. They zap it out of my brain every time I think about it. He's got the whole, darn.
They zap it out of your brain.
Yeah, like the moon laser.
Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar.
Yeah, Bob Lazar beat Donald Trump. Bob Lazar's got 62 million views.
Red Rover, Bob Lazar's coming
and Trump's got 50 million. That's kind of crazy. I think he's lying.
That's a Clutch lyric.
He's been, Yeah. Shout out Clutch. He's been consistent with his story.
Except for the little green man that he saw.
Yeah. I always think of what I said about Annie Jacobson's people.
Could it be that they brought this guy in, showed him these things, intending for him to run out and scream to the press because they want to scare the Russians into thinking that we've got alien weapons?
Very possible. Very possible.
You know about the Project Stargate? Or Operation Stargate, whatever it's called?
Where they're trying to hop through dimensions?
Oh, that's a TV show.
Stargate was a great TV show, though. Which one is Stargate? I always forget. Is that the one with the remote viewing?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think...
Yeah, they were doing that stuff out here in like near Maryland.
So apparently, have you seen that movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats?
I read the book a long time ago.
The issue was that the Americans made up a fake story to scare the Russians. The Russians believed it and started doing a psionic like research lab. The Americans then found out that they were researching psychic powers and then copied it. And it's like, are you stupid? You tricked them into doing that and then got tricked into doing it yourself. And so then they had a bunch of people trying to remote view and stuff. I think the creepy thing is that apparently they claimed they succeeded.
There's a lot of people who say they can. Yeah. I think it's probably a possibility. The government spent a lot of money on secret locations out in Maryland on the MK Ultra stuff as well as Stargate. I think they found something.
Psychic powers.
The government asked Eli Lilly, the pharmaceutical company, to make all the LSD in the early MK Ultra experiments. and they just dosed a lot of people.
How did that work? They give someone the drugs, and then while they're on acid, you can rewrite their brain.
That was, I think, one of the things. Yeah, I mean, in Canada, we had a joint thing going where we would put people in comas for months to just wipe the slate clean, tabula rasa, and see if you could just completely erase a brain. But there were like 100 MK Ultra offshoots, and there was not just one Stargate. You know, there's all these different compartmentalized projects where they were trying to create super soldiers and see how you could wipe a brain.
China is making super soldiers. They have them.
I would
Now,
not be
NBC
surprised.
reported this several years ago. They're creating genetically engineered super soldiers.
I'm not surprised. They also said they have lasers.
Are they tall?
I think.
Giant men?
The future wars will be Elon's robots versus those.
It's going to be dog robots running around in a battlefield.
They already have dog robots at Marlin.
I don't think.
Yeah,
that
do they?
They do. They have
yeah.
dog
You got the
robots.
dog.
Yeah.
Trump's got the dog robot.
They've already used. They've
Yeah.
already used. The police have already used a robot to kill a suspect, and I don't remember. I think it was
right.
Dallas.
Didn't it
He
detonate
was
a bomb?
in
A grenade?
Yeah, he was in a car,
Right.
like a car park or whatever, and so there's concrete everywhere, and that means there's cover everywhere. So they couldn't shoot him. So they're just like sending the robot. The robot went in with like a grenade and just blew the dude up.
Jeez.
That's the future, homie.
I think it was this
Future
year.
war is going to be communications.
Wasn't it this year that the Pentagon approved AI to have the license to kill?
That's great.
I think it was this year.
Was
That's
it?
great. I think they said like AI can predict, because there's something called AI Lavender that Israel's using, and it's like programmatic policing where the AI sifts through who they think might be a threat, and then the AI.
That's the plot of Captain America: Winter Soldier.
And now you're living it.
The bad guys were like, we're going to launch an aircraft carrier that's going to shoot everybody who's a deviant.
Yeah, it's like Dark Knight Rises too, with the thing that Morgan Freeman's character has, where you can see all the.
Well,
people.
that was just the phones were mapping everything. That's not
Right.
the same as
I guess that's more like a Palantir thing, data collecting.
The Captain America thing was they had 3 helicarriers, they're flying aircraft
Right.
carriers, and then an algorithm that would target anybody who was a deviant, and it was going to kill something like 20% of the world's population so that the world would have order.
I think we're pretty close to that, and we're already there in some places.
But you don't, I've long said the AI, it's not going to be Terminator. Because that's ineffective and it's shocking. It's going to be like a sex bot. It's gonna be a bot that's gonna be like, separate yourself from the world and I'll give you all the pleasures you could ever desire. It's gonna be like Neuralink. It's gonna be like, plug your brain in and experience the fantasies. Live in the pod, eat the bugs. Don't have kids.
Awful.
Yeah, but I think too the AI is gonna want humans because they're easily programmable servants. And humans can be programmed very easily. So they'll create a generation of people who are so excited to serve the machine. And they're going to be like, it's the greatest feeling in the world, man.
I'd say I'd move to Mars, but there's someone there trying to put robots
take
in
the
Mars.
liberals first. Take the liberals
No. Send them somewhere else, like Mercury or something.
Oh, Venus. But in order to build on Venus, you have to build floating platforms on the gas.
That's fine.
So, then the conservatives will go to Mars, the liberals will go to Venus, and then there's peace.
That would be wonderful.
Intergalactic peace.
Yeah, Elon has said the only way to avoid a Terminator scenario, I believe it was Elon who said this, is to integrate with the Terminator. So then we're going to be the Borg.
No, thank you.
Dude, the Borg is going to, you know the story of the Borg in Star Trek?
Oh, yeah. yeah.
They were normal people.
Yep.
And they were developing medical technology that eventually integrated them more and more and more. And then they ruined it later when they introduced the Borg Queen, the one who controls them all. That's dumb. The idea was better when it was like, when you join the hive and you can hear everyone's thoughts, you just go with it and you know why. You are working in concert with all of the voices because you all know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Do you think the military's absorbing all this now, like AI and robots, and that's the future? It's just going to be robots on the front lines?
Without question.
How do you think they're going to replace the people?
Personally, no, but I could see it eventually happening. I would hope not in the next, 10 to 15 years. I think we've first off need to fix the military before we even go down that route.
Right. DEI robot programs coming out.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're focusing on gender theory and pronoun training in the military instead of actually war fighting. So in this reality, with Russia and China as threats to us, we need to focus on how, if that actually becomes World War III, how we fight that. And I think maybe AI eventually, but right now that's not where.
I think Pete Hegseth solves a lot of this stuff.
For sure. He seems like he might.
Well, and that's what, so, a lot of people on the left are melting down. And actually, females in Facebook groups from West Point are having meltdowns because he went on, I forget what podcast.
Right. He was on Sean Ryan. Maybe?
I think it was Sean Ryan. And he said that women don't belong in combat or combat arms.
Right.
And all these women that graduated from West Point are having full-on meltdowns, thinking that he's going to eliminate all of them from the military. And he's somehow going to convince the secretary of the VA to get rid of benefits, especially for female veterans. And I was saying this to a few people. We need to get away from four-star generals that are so out of touch with reality and what's actually going on in the military to fix the Marxist cesspool that has become the military.
100%.
And I think that someone that got out as a major understands it a little bit more than a four-star general. So Lloyd Austin
Right.
was part of the Iraq withdrawal. But he was so far removed. I mean, being a general officer, you don't understand what's actually going on. And then he was in charge of the Afghanistan withdrawal, and we saw what happened there. Yeah. And he's forcing, we can't even meet recruitment numbers in the military because we are forcing people out for not getting vaccinated. He had the mandate, all those other things. When you have people leading departments that are so far removed from day-to-day life in those departments or in those organizations, they don't belong as the heads of those organizations.
General Mattis. Who do you guys think is going to win the fight
Tonight?
Yeah.
Is it scripted or not?
Tyson. That's a story we didn't get to. So I'll pull it up for a little bit. They're claiming that there's a script that was leaked. It's fake. It's all fake. So someone made a fake script. You don't need a script for this. It's so stupid. But it claims that Jake Paul's going to win. It's fake. I think Tyson's going to win.
Tyson's a beast.
Tyson's going to win because... So I'm already seeing people in chat saying that Netflix is crashing. They can't handle the viewership. I'm sure Netflix is going to want to do this again. Mm-hmm. The story of Jake Paul besmirching the good name of boxing by beating up Mike Tyson when he was 60 and out of his game and then claiming victory, I don't believe is going to be good for the longevity of the entertainment and the sport. Think about it like a commercial. Netflix says, come here and watch this. They want you to, they're going to want to do it again. If Jake Paul wins, Mike Tyson, the legend, is just out of his prime, unable to fight, gets beaten up by a young guy. Then what? All that does is ruin the legend of Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson wins, it's the return of the king. All the boomers and Gen Xers who are watching are going to be laughing and being like, these young guys don't know what it takes. They think they can take down the king. Jake Paul just says it was an honor to be in the ring with a legend who still got it. That narrative is like the ending of Free Willy. You know what I mean? That's why I bet on Tyson, because I don't think anybody involved in this is going to be like it's good for the sport that Jake Paul defeats a legend who was past his prime. That's just a young guy beating up an old man. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants that to happen.
Tyson needs to win for America.
I think Tyson wins.
I
think it's all scripted. I think it's all narrative based. If Paul wins, who's going to want to watch the next one?
No one's going to want to watch the next one.
But if Tyson wins, it's going to be like, wow, and it's Tyson's big last fight. Mm-hmm. He's like, I still got it. And everyone's like, man, no, never doubt the king. He gets his legacy is there, whatever he thinks about legacy or not.
I would like to see Tyson win. I want to actually watch the fight before I make any decisions about whether I think it was scripted or whatever, because I want to see what the actual fight looks like. Mm-hmm. I used to be more skeptical, and then Donald Trump won last week, and so I'm like, okay, all right, maybe not, maybe real things actually do happen still. So I don't know.
I'm a boxing denier. I admit it fully.
I mean, but I want to see Mike Tyson win, and I my inclination or my intuition is that if Tyson can connect, he's still got that monstrous power.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he's weak. He's still as fast as he ever was. Or at least he looks as fast as he did. Like you see him, any of the clips of him training, he looks like an absolute monster. And he's Mike Tyson. So I definitely think that he possesses the ability to beat Jake. I've never seen Jake look like, I've seen him hit hard and stuff, but I've never seen him look fast like Mike. I've never seen him look aggressive like Mike. And again, I'm not saying that Jake can't fight. He's been in a bunch of boxing matches and stuff, but they're all like exhibition matches. None of them are actually fighting someone that's like pro level boxer his age. And Mike Tyson, he is a monster.
It would be the trifecta. It would be the trifecta. Trump wins, Alex Jones is back at InfoWars, and Tyson wins. That's what we need.
I do think it's a great idea. I think it was a super chat yesterday that we buy MSNBC and just put Alex Jones on it.
Please.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of having him be a constant co-host for every single person.
Yeah, but
that would be great.
But who's going to pay $20 million to Rachel Maddow after the network sells, right?
If I had that kind of money, I might, just because it was funny.
My idea was for Trump to get in day one, make the FBI and the CIA turn it inside out, all the papers transparent, call it Project InfoWars, and it's just Alex Jones 24/7 live streaming.
I'd like to see MSNBC turn in their press credentials to the White House and give them to War Room and then Timcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, CNN and MSNBC can turn in their press credentials and we can get them.
I think we're going to have to send Elad
That'd be
to
great.
be our White House press correspondent.
He'd be great at it.
I think he would be great at it.
That's what they're saying now. They're going to give podcasts and alternative media access to the White House.
Yep.
I think the press briefing's a waste of time. Trump can just tweet whatever, But I guess sometimes you get good clarification. But the press secretary just lies.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
We'll see what this one does.
It's spin, It's a spin
See
room.
what this one does, because she worked for McEnany, right? She was the assistant.
Yeah,
Haley.
and she was the campaign secretary as well.
And I think she was the youngest Republican to win her primary.
She
for the
was.
GOP, right?
She was.
So she's interesting. I like the hearings. I like seeing, people ask questions in person. I think that's important.
Let's go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know, become a member over at timcast.com to join the movement. Our Discord server has tens of thousands of people, and they're wondering why you're not there. They tell me every day, Tim, you got to promote the Discord because there's meetups, there's pre-shows, there's after-shows. Some people have even gotten married. Yeah, it's true. It's kind of crazy. So, join the Discord and you'll meet people, make friends, and organization is the most powerful thing we can do. And we can protect this great country. As a member, you're supporting this show and all the work we do. All right, let's grab some Super Chats. All right. CEO of Fat Girl says coffee cake spelled backwards is coffee cake. That's incorrect. Polly Pure says, I'm not first. You're not. Percent M says, I would like to shout out my grandmother who just passed. Lorna May Lamarond. Am I pronouncing it wrong? Her greatest achievement was the family she created. She was a friend, wife, aunt, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and great-great-grandmother. Wow. Bravo. I saw this video. It's you've probably seen it. 16-year-old farm boys versus female powerlifters. And you know what I thought when I saw that? Okay, now let's make another video called Human Creation Off. And we'll get 16-year-old farm boys trying to create a human. They're not going to be able to do it. My point is, our society and feminists want women to be men. They hate femininity.
Yeah.
They don't like the fact that they are the ones who make people and raise them. I don't get it. So some women couldn't beat some farm boys? Well, yeah, men and women are different, and women create life, and men do the work to protect the women, and together, life is made. That's what modern feminism has done.
Yeah.
Disparages women. All right, Ginger McIsaac says, I heard the clip where the lady wants to count the illegal votes to get her day in court. She should also go to jail due to her lawlessness. Yeah, I know, it's willful. She's admitted it. That's crazy. Jonathan Timmon says, y'all have mentioned butter being expensive the last few nights, and yeah, butter is stupid expensive. My wife's bakery in Oklahoma City, Okie Dokie Bakery, spends $500 a week on butter alone.
Wow.
I hope it's the good stuff. But you know what's brutal? We drove out to the middle of nowhere. Allison and I were like, let's find a breakfast diner in the woods. It'll be fun. And the coffee was no good. It's like watered down. And the butter was hydrogenated soybean oil or whatever. And they do it because nobody does anything about it. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I'll tell you, for me, we've got Martinsburg Family Diner in Martinsburg, and they use real butter. When they come out, they give you the real butter. And so we like going there because I don't want to eat hydrogenated soybean oil or canola oil, whatever that garbage is.
Yep.
But most of these diners, they will use fake butter, and they spray that weird garbage. It's so nasty.
It's gross.
And you can't go anywhere and not get it. Every single diner everywhere is going to use the spray nonstick garbage. And it's because people don't complain. That's what RFK Jr. is talking about. He's like, you may not notice this thing's making you sick, but after 10 years, you get diabetes. And you're like, I wonder how that happened. Because you're eating garbage. So we try to get the real butter. Let's grab some more super chats. What have we here? The Emperor's Champion says, a friend of my family and his daughter were killed in a car accident the other night. A GoFundMe was set up for them. Support the Miller family's healing journey. Anything helps. Man, sorry to hear it. It's brutal.
Condolences, man.
Yeah.
Christopher Grover says, Phil, I can't stop listening to your new music. Divine and Forever Cold help me go harder in the gym than Doom.
That's what I like to hear, man.
Rip Ollie Herbert.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that. Cheers.
Let's see what we got here. Just Because I'm Free says, Phil says it's good that Trump is in charge and Trump needs to do X, Y, and Z. Trump isn't president till he's sworn in. Do you think they will wait till Trump is sworn in?
Well, I mean, the argument or the discussion was, as Trump assigns people and they get confirmed and stuff, then they'll have a shadow government start being created and whatever. And I mean, either way, like in my opinion, or my opinion is, as soon as Trump does become the president, he should use the Justice Department to, investigate and arrest all those people for sedition.
I agree. And I also think that they're saying this shadow cabinet, but they're not going to act upon it until Trump is the president. Because then they're going to be like, oh, they did X, Y, and Z. So we're going to use our whoever is the shadow person for that department to counteract. So I don't think that they're actually going to try anything with regards to the shadow cabinet until Trump is sworn in at high noon on January 20th, 2025.
I mean, why would they do something that was, against the current administration?
Yeah.
So Kaiser Outdoor says, churn your own butter, Tim, since you're Mr. Homesteader now. We do that sometimes. But it's like, I'm just going to go to the store and pick up butter. You know what I mean? We have farm stands, and you can get the real butter is so much better.
That's what we do.
It's unquestionable. It's kind of crazy how much better it is. And eggs right from our chickens, way better than store-bought. No question.
Like from a different animal.
I know,
That you
it's
see
crazy.
in the stores. It's crazy.
Yeah, so one of the perks of working at Timcast is there's 40 eggs per day.
Yeah.
And people like Libby's always like, I always grab a dozen on the way out. And I'm like, well, that was always allowed.
They look,
breakfast.
when you crack those eggs and you look at them compared to eggs from the supermarket, it is just completely different.
Oh, the funny is when the chicken lays the long ones and they're weird looking. Yeah. And it's like an egg shape, and then it's got a weird thing on top because something happened when the chicken was making the egg.
Yeah.
Tastes great. But sometimes we do our own butter. You have the mixer bowl, and you just put the cream in, and you turn it on low. And then a funny story is, a couple of years ago, we had fresh cream from a farm, and I put it in the mixer bowl, and I turned it on low, so it's just spinning. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go record a segment for 20 minutes. And then after I finish recording, I hear Allison yell, and I come in, and it's splashing buttermilk everywhere like crazy. So for those that don't know, the cream turns to butter, but the buttermilk is the liquid part. And so the butter was just whacking the buttermilk and spraying everything in the kitchen. And I was like, I did not think that was going to happen. Whoops. But it did. Yeah. So, you learn. All right, let's grab some more.
I cannot make butter where I live right now, so.
Why not?
Against the law?
I mean, I probably could, but I live in the state of Florida, so.
Yeah, just go to a farm, get some cream.
Yeah, there's no farms by me where I live in Florida, so. Might be time to move.
Yeah, farms
Even
are
though,
important.
I just moved down there.
I love Florida, but you gotta have
18 months
farms.
ago.
You got to get a mini cow. They're great. Let's see what we got. We'll grab some more super chats. Just because I'm free says, Tim, the Dems have already sent others to negotiate in federal matters. Have you forgot John Kerry going overseas during Trump's last administration?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it Milley who said that he called China outside of the chain of command?
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why my dad said, and I agree with him, that Milley should be brought back from retirement onto active duty and court-martialed
Wow.
for that. And I also think Lloyd Austin, for his actions too, needs to be court-martialed.
I think the first action of AG Matt Gaetz, and I wonder if you agree with me, is that he should order the arrest and prosecution of Merrick Garland for contempt of Congress.
Yes, 100%. And I said this while my dad was in Danbury. Merrick Garland's covering up tapes. A law was actually broken. My dad was adhering to executive privilege that President Trump invoked. When President Trump did a memorandum and said, you can testify, I see what they're doing to you. And he didn't testify or go before the unselect committee at first because of guidance given to him by his attorney. When Trump said, I will remove executive privilege and you can go testify, the January 6th committee said, oh, it's too late.
Yeah.
And you're going to put him in prison for 4 months at 70. Peter Navarro in prison for 4 months. But Merrick Garland, who actually broke a law,
Yep.
you're going to let him roam free. And I actually have an issue with the Republicans that lost their spines and didn't stand up when they said inherent contempt. They could have put him in prison with inherent contempt.
Gates should.
I agree. He should be in prison for longer than 4 months, but at least 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months is good.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they want, equality under the law.
But the Republicans said, oh, no, we're not going to arrest him when he steps on Capitol grounds. We'll just fine him $10,000 a day. Like that's actually gonna bother him at all. And then they didn't even stick to that. So, you know, I feel like some of them are a little spineless at times.
More than a little.
All right.
I'm being nice.
I appreciate
Brad
it.
Sweat said, well, MF Damien says, this argument sounds like it boils down to Phil saying, do something about the sedition problem, while Tim says nothing can stop it. Action won't matter. Am I misunderstood, or is Tim blackpilled? You are misunderstood. What I am saying is Democrats are escalating with the advocacy, and I'm saying it's light, it's a seed, for the creation of a shadow parallel government. And by saying, okay, well then go after them, that doesn't change that Democrats are going to further escalate, and the shadow government will just be reinforced by Trump's actions against them. There doesn't seem to be an off-ramp. So my point is this. If Trump says, what you're doing is a criminal offense and I will hereby charge you, they say, this proves it, everyone rally behind us, everything we did was justified, and this is our evidence. That's so sure. Then Trump can say, okay, well then we're going to invoke the Insurrection Act and go and arrest you. Then they turn around and say, see, we told you this was going to happen. This is why we formed a shadow government. Now everyone needs to side with us. Then Trump's going to say, you're crazy. National Guard, I'm invoking the Insurrection Act. Then the governor's going to say, do not listen to Trump. That's illegal. And he is acting against the law. Listen to us. But let's read more. Brad Sweat says, they're at it again, Tim. Put on the YouTube this morning to catch my morning news and the culture war during work, and I wasn't subscribed to IRL or Timcast channels anymore. I'm a member at the website, but still weird, right? Yep, that's what they do. That's how they play their game. Gorwag says, Confederates made their government before seceding. They were also considered traitors to the Union. We are having the same thing happen again, and we aren't learning the lesson of history. Doesn't repeat, it rhymes. My point is this. I don't know that there is something to be learned from history other than that it may happen. I don't know if it'll happen. Right now, it's a member of Congress saying we should have a shadow cabinet. Maybe they tell me stupid and they don't do it. You've got the governors forming what's called the GSD. They're actually doing that. These are all morsels of escalation. Like I said, if Trump were to go in and start arresting, they're going to say, this proves it. If Trump does nothing, they say, quick, go get Trump. If Trump doesn't stop them, he goes to prison. If he tries to stop the lawlessness and the lawfare, they'll counter. The escalation is staring us right in front. It's right in front of us. Maybe not though. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, it's funny. That's what I said. Every single time there's escalation, I say, you know what, maybe this is it. This is where it stops. Tomorrow, Democrats are going to say, wow, a shadow cabinet and a coalition of governors to defy the president? This is too far. Trump, we're sorry. We're going to work with you on your plan and your agenda. We're going to confirm Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard. We're going to begin these mass deportations. Maybe that happens. Yeah, probably not. Okay, then I don't know what comes next. Let's go. Sparky says, Tim, you never finished school. Just think how much more successful you'd be if you'd finished school. Yeah, how about that? I actually think nothing would change. I think what makes someone successful starts between the ages of 0 and 5. And whether you're in school or not in school, you're going to navigate those systems and figure out how to succeed.
Well, I mean, what school has become now.
Yeah.
I think it's more beneficial not to go.
Yeah.
I don't
Public
think it
schools
was
are
ever
harm.
beneficial to go.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a couple hundred years ago when universities actually were of higher learning. You know, but people didn't need them.
Same for public schools. They're so bad. They're so bad. They're failing children horribly.
Yeah.
And they're leaving these schools and they don't know anything. Like, you got to know something about life and how, you know, the world works. History is good to know, but public schools are totally a failure.
Yeah.
One SG Knight says, Tim, I regret to let you know that you are losing a loyal viewer tonight. Xander, my 10-year-old Pity, and I watch every episode together. Unfortunately, this is his last weekend. He will be missed by wife and 2 sons and I. Although often judged by his breed, everyone he met was already a friend to him, happy and loving. He was my rock of calm through my anxieties after returning from my deployments. I remind my family that the deep pain we feel is an inverse reflection of all the love and happiness he brought into our lives. Thank you, buddy. You were always a good boy. Sorry to hear it. Sorry to hear it, sir. But I appreciate what you were saying, that reflection. What I usually say is, when your dog passes on, all of that sadness that you feel is the debt you must pay for all the joy and happiness that was given to you, because we all got to pay our dues. But it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. That sadness is the explosion of all that happiness that you had within you. It's the energy building up, and so it's a good reminder, and it's a good feeling, you know, to have that sadness. It's a reminder of all of the love. Dogs are good. They're good people. We have Seamus 3 now. We're not going to domesticate him because Allison said absolutely not to Seamus 3. But, you know, he's lurking around outside in the trees, and I threw some fish out for him. We had some sushi today. But he's still named Seamus 3, so. Seamus 2 is the cartoonist. Seamus 1 is our cat. Seamus 3 is another cat, because there's another one. All right, we'll grab a couple more while we can. William Ammentrout says, can we appreciate the irony of the Onion being under criminal investigation, basically for lying? Is that true, though? Are they under investigation?
That's what Jones was saying today, that perhaps there was criminal activity for the way they went around the judge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did go around the judge. The judge is pissed because I was reading other articles where they were saying the judge is questioning how this could have happened.
Yeah.
Because you can't just say, we have no money. Like, basically what happened is, according to some of these reports, the Onion said, just give us InfoWars. And the families were like, that works for us. And they were leveraging Alex Jones's debt to the families as the cash to buy InfoWars, which makes no sense. They were basically just lying, saying, just give it to us. It'll be funny.
According to Alex, the quote he heard from the judge and everything was that they said it was the best bid, not the biggest bid. What does that mean?
And he said something like there were other bidders who were better, and they said, well, this one was competitive, which means less.
Right. He said it was they offered a fraction.
Yeah.
And there were other people.
Yeah,
who
Onion
placed
can't
bids.
afford to buy it. That's why I was wondering, how do they do? They get 3.5 million uniques. Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
They just trying, it's that's why I'm saying, like, they're waging lawfare using raw power against their political enemies. All right, let's grab one more. Hi, Marshall Balian says, I've seen The Expanse and 40K. There won't be peace when humans reach the stars. We'll find new enemy to focus on our hate.
True.
Indeed. Here's a good one. Magnus Rex says, Tim, the best butter is Kerrygold Irish butter. It's all natural, real butter, and it tastes amazing. I agree. I love it, and that's usually what we buy.
That is very good.
Yeah.
All right, my friends, smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. Become a member over at timcast.com. We're going to go watch the fights. We got the big screen. We got the speakers turned on. We're ordering pizza and wings. I am excited for this. Become a member at timcast.com. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. And Maureen, you want to shout anything out?
For your audience, make sure to tune into War Room. We're on from 10 to 12, Monday through Saturday, Eastern Standard Time, and then Monday through Friday, 5 to 7, Eastern Standard Time. And I greatly appreciate you guys having me on. And if you'd love to have me back, please have me back.
Definitely. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to be here with you. Shout out to the War Room. I'm Shane Cashman. You can find me everywhere online at Shane Cashman. The show is Inverted World Live. We are live every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. You can subscribe to me there. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. You can check out any of our new videos on the newest one called Forever Cold. Just came out about a week ago. All the other new ones, they're all on YouTube. They're on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, and Deezer. And don't forget, The Left Lane is for crime.
I forgot to mention where you can find War Room. Rumble, Getter, Pluto, Roku, Samsung TV, and you can find me at Maureen_Bannon on Twitter and real Maureen Bannon on Instagram.
Right on. I got my money on Tyson because I told you exactly why. And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm going to be, though. But I got no problem being wrong. So let's see what happens on Monday when we're back. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.